Okay, today we're going to rebuild the knee joints on the Dodge Ram to make the legs extend all the way, like I've already done with this one. What this will do is give the figure better proportions, and it doesn't affect stability at all. As you can see, it stands just as poorly, as the unmodified one. To do this modification, the tools that you're going to need are a Dremel with some various bits on it. As you can see, I've already got a little bore tip on there. A screwdriver to take the legs apart, which you obviously need every time. And some epoxy putty. And what you'll need the putty for is to fill in a void behind the knee. What this modification entails is that there's a barrier that keeps the leg from extending any farther than this. You need to use the Dremel to cut out that barrier and then fill the void in behind it with the putty, so then it can extend all the way out, as I've already done on these two. Okay, I've opened up the right leg of the unmodified Ram and the modified Ram to show you what they look like on the inside. On the unmodified one, this is the barrier that you need to remove with the Dremel, and then this is the void that you have to fill. And then this is what it looks like on the modified Ram. As you can tell, I've stripped out that barrier and installed a little block of epoxy putty, which comes out. The hole that you have to fill in with this epoxy putty is about a cubic half-inch. Half-inch by a half-inch by a half-inch. Or, for you English, 1.5 cubic centimeters. What I did was make a block that size and then shave it down with the Dremel in order to perfectly fit through the hole. And then when I got that done, just pops right back in. When I got that done, there's a little spring tab on the side of the knee joints. So I pulled the leg all the way up to this barrier and then marked with the marker where that spring joint is, and then cut a groove in there so that it would stay extended, just like it has down here. The other half of the leg looks like this before you work on it. There's another barrier on this side, but it's not quite as great as on the other. And on the right leg, you have this small circle here. It's actually the hole for the tab to fit in so it locks into truck mode. On the modified piece, I've already cut out that barrier and I actually just stripped up that little dome out, so it goes all the way through. And that's really all you have to do on the interior leg piece. And lastly, the bit of troubleshooting. The little hunk that you have to shave out here goes all the way down to where the barrier used to be. So I've done this modification, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times. Every time it comes down to grinding out this bit here and then reshaping this piece of epoxy so that the leg can go up and down smoothly. And that's why I really recommend using epoxy, because you can shave it off and you can add back onto it if you need to. Alright, I've got them put back together, and as you can tell, the joint's not going to collapse, and it's pretty stout on its own right. It does kink, but that's no big deal. The tricky part about this modification is getting this piece of filament shaved down so that the leg can go collapse back down just as easily as it can pull out. And that's the only tricky part. It just takes time and a bit of troubleshooting. Basically, putting the leg partially back together, putting the screws back in, tightening it up, and then seeing, how easily it'll collapse back down and pull out until you get it to where you want it. Now this will naturally get easier every time that you do it, so if you're nervous about hacking up something relatively expensive like a KISS Convoy or a Nemesis Prime, just do the modification on an alternator prime that you're going to repaint anyway, and then no harm, no foul. It only takes once or twice to get the hang of it, and then after that you can go and modify all your Rams. So that's really all there is to it. And the only other thing I want to point out is that on the back of the RAM, this opens up and you can store the gun in it. I've never seen anyone mention that ever, so that's all there is to it. So good luck, have fun.